Transformative Soul Signals podcast with your hosts, Lynnessa
and Monique. Join us as we share our genuine perspectives, guidance, and experiences.
And as we navigate transformative healing journeys and spirituality.
All right, 111. You ready?
Oh,
yes, 111. Let's do this.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back. Me and Monique are back after a break. I'll speak for myself. I did a lot of healing and rejuvenating and recharging so that I could come back and give you guys all of the goodies, all of the goods, everything I've learned, as I continue on my healing journey. Would you say the same thing, Monique?
Yes, it's been really interesting, this healing journey I've been on since I would say last year, and during the vacation and during the holidays it was very trying, but I'm on the other side now, so yes.
Yes, trying is a good word for it. But today we wanted to kind of talk about, and we've honestly been thinking about this subject for months now, but things have to be, there's a divine timing and things have to be in alignment, which is what we're going to be talking about. So this episode is going to be all about being in alignment. So to open it up, the first thing I wanted to kind of talk about is, what exactly is being in alignment? So for you, Monique, what would you say is being in alignment?
I would say that being in alignment is being energetically in tuned with the universe. And what I mean by that is sometimes we have a tendency of saying some things, but our thoughts and our emotions project something else. We kind of contradict ourselves. We can say, I want to manifest a car right now. But in our minds and our emotions, we're saying, well, it's too expensive. I might not be able to afford it. And once you start with the thought and that creates the emotion, that's what we project. There's no manifesting there.
Because, like, just to piggyback off of what you said, like being in alignment is when every part of you, your mind, your body, and your spirit are all in the same vibration. They're all sending the same signal to source, to the universe, whatever you believe in, that this is truly what you want. And if any one of those things is not sending the same frequency or the same message, if you are, feeling like, okay, I want this new car, but then, like you said, your mind is like, I don't really think I can get it, or I don't really think I deserve it, because you still have healing to do, then those are things that block you from manifesting. Those are things that cause you not to be in alignment. So once you realize you're not in alignment or you are in alignment, there are some signs or ways to tell. And I like to tell stories, so I like to just give examples. But like in your life, like Monique, how can you tell when things are in alignment or when things are really like flowing the way they need to flow?
So my experience with that is that I was trying to manifest some things. And this is how I learned all about being in alignment and really experienced it for myself. I was doing crystal grids. I was writing down, scripting, sigils. And I started, I was asking myself, why isn't anything happening? Why is not the manifestation coming to me? I would have a crystal grid there for like 2 months, 3 months. Nothing was going on. And I have a money Reiki box, and there was just so many things that I was trying to do to manifest certain things, and they just weren't coming in. When I went through an experience with my health, and I realized that I needed to be in alignment with what I eat. I needed to eat healthy, because it's not just about really resetting or like mindset, changing your mindset. It's also about your energy as well. And also that comes along with what you eat, how you think. So it's not just about how you think and also how you feel, but also what we're putting into our bodies, because food has its own frequency as well.
Mhm.
And here I was on my healing journey, but my health wasn't so great. I was changing my mindset and trying to change my emotions by letting go of a lot of traumas and triggers, and letting go of a lot of, depression and sadness and things like that.
Yes.
And there was just, you just feel like there's not, something is not right. Something is not in tune. Something is not aligned. And it was because here I was doing all these things, but my health wasn't so great because of my eating habits. And
Yes.
that was weighing me down, because here I was letting go of certain things and releasing, my frequency would go up, but then I would bring it right back down by eating low frequency foods that are in the third and the fourth dimension, which is junk food. They call it junk food for a reason. And once I started changing my diet and I started eating more healthy, is when I started feeling being in alignment, because food has its own frequencies. And when you eat healthy foods, your frequency rises. My
So
healing, go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, I was gonna say, so like while you were going through that, because I have a similar example to what you're saying, what did you see around you, like happening in your life to let you know, okay, yeah, now I'm in alignment? Like, what kind of signs did you see?
My manifestation started coming through.
Mm,
That's what it was. And the eating and the healing journey and everything, the releasing and the letting go, was what led to that. We block our own path. We block ourselves with the fear that we feel, our mindset, what we're thinking, what we're feeling. Once the mindset changes and we start thinking a different way, everything else follows, because it's the mind that changes everything. It's the mind that changes our emotions, because the mind is what creates the emotion. And then that,
absolutely.
yes, and then follows is the body, the mind, the body, and the spirit. It's all connected. So in order for us to feel good, we need to change the foods that we eat if we're not eating healthy. And once my diet changed and everything else was in correlation to that, my manifestation started coming through without me even realizing. There were things that were coming through that I didn't never even thought of manifesting.
Wow.
So the energy is what changed. The energy of the foods that I eat, the energy within myself, my frequency, my mindset changes the frequency. What I'm feeling changes the frequency. So now we were talking about this earlier. I was trying to do a manifestation by the 369 method with the Tesla, but then within myself, it was like, I don't really need that, because once you're in alignment, you don't have to go through all those manifestation rituals and things like that, because you're automatically manifesting. You're attracting energetically what it is that you want to manifest. And even things that you don't want to manifest in your life, they still
Right.
come in, because you're energetically in tuned.
Yeah, that what you said, that right there, that's key. That's true. Like once you're in alignment, then you just are. You flow, and you're everything that is meant for you just flows to you. There's no resistance. And like I was saying, like my example is similar to yours. Like, cuz it's all about doing what is right for you. Like no two people are going to be the same. Not everyone is going to have to make certain changes. Like in my case, cutting out red meat was something for me that I needed to do because I didn't feel good in my body, and I did that. But the ways that I realized that I was finally in alignment is when I was getting messages from everywhere. Um like say like the situation that happened with me, I have been ignoring like this recurring message from my guides about being serious about my weight, like having a committed exercise routine. Because like when it comes to eating, I'm good at that, but when it comes to like doing consistently doing an exercise routine, I was not, doing it, or I was not as committed as I should have. So that was a situation where my spirit and my mind, they were moving on. I was working on my mindset, shifting to a more positive mindset. I was doing all of the spiritual healing, but then my body what hadn't caught up. My body wasn't, doing what I needed my body to do. And so the way that I recognized that I was in alignment is because, and this happened like a couple days ago, this random lady came up to me and she was like, "Oh, you're so beautiful, but there's some things you need to release so that you can finally start losing weight." And I was like, "Okay, yes, I received that because that is like basically in alignment with the messages that I had been receiving and from my guides, or when I communicate with my higher self. But because I wasn't quite committed to doing what I needed to do, messages were sent to me. And that same day that the lady spoke to me, then my sister, she was like, "Sis, we need to get more serious about our workout routine." And then my mom was like, "Oh, I'm having a meeting with my girlfriends," because she does like her own little mini podcast thing. And that's what she was talking about. And then my son came home and he was like, "Mommy, can we work out?" And I was like, "What in the world?" So it's like when you're in alignment, the messages will be, you won't be able to miss them. You won't be able to miss them when you're in alignment. And then things that you casually think about, like one day I needed to feed my bunny rabbit, but I couldn't get out. And I was like, "Man, I wish I had some lettuce, some leftover lettuce or something that I can feed him until I can go to the store." Sure enough, my aunt pops up at my door 2 hours later, and she was like, because she delivers mail, she was like, "One of the people I delivered their mail gave me this head of lettuce." And I was like, "What in the world?" And she was like, "I don't need it, so here." And like, it's stuff like that. You know what I
Yes.
mean? That
Yes.
that shows you when you're in alignment. Things just happen
Oh,
very quickly.
synchronicity.
Yes.
Synchronicity. That was
Ex-
one of the big things for me, was synchronicity. Everywhere I looked, it was 555, 111, 222, or one two three
yes.
four on the clock, or the weather and my battery percentage and the time was all in sync. So we get, when the universe is working in your behalf and it's
Mm-hmm.
moving things around, because you're shifting, and you're shifting that energy, and your mindset is changing, and even your frequency in your body changes. That's what the
Right.
synchronicities are all about. It's the universe letting you know, I'm working here. I'm manifesting what it is for you, what it is that you want to bring into your life.
Right.
And the universe will open up for you. And it's not just about that. Also, what I also realize, and I'm pretty sure you realize this also, is that when you're in alignment and you're letting go and you're releasing, things are so much easier for you.
They are.
Your relationships, you notice that you have a more bond with your family, because you're letting go of certain things about yourself and accepting certain things about yourself that someone might have triggered in you, and now you realize that you're not getting triggered anymore, and you get to see certain situations that maybe a month ago would have gone haywire, now are really running smoothly.
Exactly. And then you also let go of expectations because you know that you'll be taken care of. You know that,
Yes.
yeah, that was a big one for me because I'm a recovering control freak, and I know you can relate to that,
Yes.
like feeling
Yes.
like I want to do it and I want to do it this way and I want to know how it's going to happen, and I want to know everything before, and being in alignment doesn't allow you to be like that. Being in alignment, you have to flow. And like I used the example earlier of like, it's like being on your path, your life path, and wanting to like get the directions and the GPS going and know where you're going.
Yes.
Yeah, before you get there. But that's not an alignment. When you're in alignment, you fully trust that you are being guided, you are being protected. So you just start walking. You just start walking on the path. And then as you need certain things, they will show up when you need them. While you're walking, you're like, "Okay, I'm getting hungry." So then being in alignment, oh, here's a store on my path, or here's someone standing on the side of the road ready to give me a sandwich, or I'm getting hot, I keep walking. being in alignment. Okay, here's a stand where I can get some water. That's what being in alignment is. It's not, it's not trying to control and know where you're going, or I need to go to this place or that place. It's just walking on the path. And then as you walk on the path, whatever you need, whatever your needs are, they will just show up on the journey.
Trust the process.
Yes.
That's what exactly what it's all about. Just trust the process. Just let that inner voice guide you and know that you're going to be taken care of. And it's
Yep.
really difficult to get there because
It
I
is.
was the same way. I was really controlling, and not just with myself, but also with other people as well. And it
Yes.
really took me a lot of healing to let go of my own things, my own trauma, my own triggers, to be able to accept that in others, and kind of just live and let live. What they're dealing with is their own stuff. And, I would always be the one to try to say, well, maybe if you do it this way, now I just kind of like, for lack of a better expression, mind my business and kind of just let them be and do what they feel they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just deal with me,
Right.
because
Because
that's what it's,
that's, yep.
yes.
Now I was going to say that's all you can do.
That's all we
That's all you
can
can do.
do.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and that's what being in alignment is. And also, even just something as simple as, don't worry about what other people think about you or what they say about you. Only
Yes.
concentrate what you feel about them and what you say about them. Because if there's something that you hear having a certain type of feeling towards them, look within yourself and ask yourself why. It doesn't have to do anything with them. It has to do with you, with how you're feeling, or what trigger is in there that they're triggering.
Yes.
And when you do that, you're definitely in alignment because you're taking responsibility for how you feel and how you think about others. And then there's the karma that comes behind it as well. So there's so many things that entails alignment. Even when you fear something, moving past
Right.
that, we were talking about this earlier, moving past the fear, getting out of your comfort zone, getting over the fear of the unknown, because again, there comes the thing that you were talking about with the control freak thing,
Right.
wanting to know how to get there, which way we're going to go, plan it ahead of time, look in the map, make sure the map is going to, and sometimes you just got to go with the flow and just
You
get
have
out of
to.
it,
Yeah. And that brings me into like what I wanted to go into, like common traps that keep us out of alignment so that we can recognize when they're happening and take back our power and get back in alignment. So we talked about control. You briefly mentioned like fear in your comfort zone. So talk more about that, like how those traps keep us out of alignment.
Well, when we fear something, and it could be something for our best and highest good, but because we fear it, it blocks us.
Mm-hmm.
And if we sometimes the fear is just about getting out of our comfort zones and really not knowing what we're getting into because we have no experience with that. So how do we know, or how do I know how it's going to affect me?
Right.
So being able to bypass that fear and doing what it is that you need to do or what it is that you should be doing, it's magical in itself,
Right.
because you get rid of that and you're in alignment, because it might not be so bad on the other side. Whatever it is that you feared might not even happen. It could be a wonderful experience and you've really gained something out of it for your best and highest good.
Right. And
So
you were saying like it's your mind just protecting you.
yes, it's the ego protecting us because there's survival instincts within the ego. It wants to survive. So it holds us back. And well, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will find this familiar. Well, how do you know how it's going to affect you? Or how do you know it's not going to do any damage? Well, I don't know, but how am I supposed to know if I don't find out? If I don't go and do it, how am I supposed to know what the effects are going to be? But sometimes that fear is enough to keep us rooted and stagnant and in our comfortable zone because we feel safe,
Right.
and a lot of people have fear of, myself, I admit it. I'm being vulnerable right now. I admit that I have a fear of being on video. What are people going to think about me? What about if I have too many, white hairs or things like that? And I'm serious.
White
And
hairs are beautiful, but
they're
go on.
beautiful because they're a sign of wisdom. And my father was the one who told me. He said, your white hair is a really beautiful symbol of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, and I let that fear go, but it was holding me back from a lot of things. And a good example, Lynnessa, is, well, how do I expect to move forward in my business? And how do I expect to be able to get the financial gain of my business if I'm not willing to do this one thing? Because it could be this one thing that aligns with my business.
Correct.
And here I
Correct.
am blocking my own financial flow.
And not only that, by focusing on that thing, you're attracting more of it.
More of it.
Yeah, so
Yes,
it's gonna
yes.
cause other things to happen that, completely get you out of alignment. And like the example I was giving was, I had like this irrational fear of cockroaches. And once I once I kept thinking about it, like they were showing up everywhere. Like they were landing on me like a butterfly. They were showing up in places where they shouldn't have been. I ended up, like, while I was trying to find an apartment, I would always be like, okay, I definitely don't want to live anywhere where there's roaches. So I ended up getting this apartment and being somewhere that had roaches, that was infested, and staying there for a whole year. So it's like, because I had this irrational fear of it, I attracted more of it into my reality. And then when I healed from it, when I got over it, because, being around it, it was like, okay, they're not going to kill me. You know, I was
Yes.
able to move somewhere else, and now I don't see them, so that speaks volumes, of how your thoughts and being afraid can like completely change your life. And that's what this podcast is about. It's about, you know transforming and healing. So, us sharing our experiences, so that, our listeners can also recognize in their lives how they can transform and begin to heal and change those things, so that they're in alignment and they're living their best selves, their best lives.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had a situation. I think I spoke to you about it about a month or two ago, where downstairs new tenants moved in, and they were playing the radio like really really loud. But the whole thing about it is, once I looked within myself and really asked myself, what's the problem here? What is it that's triggering me? Is because the
Mm-hmm.
music that they were playing and the gentleman that lived downstairs triggered me a lot, because he reminds me of how it was in my family, in
Oh,
my
wow.
when I was being abused. So it was triggering a lot of the traumas of what I went through as a young child. And the music, the way he spoke, just the whole demeanor itself reminded me of an uncle that was very
Wow.
abusive. And
I
it
call them
just,
creepy uncles. I literally call
yes,
them creepy uncles.
yeah. And it was triggering me a lot, to the point where I was, like really aggressive with him, as in terms of, you got to lower the music down. But it was because it was bothering me because of my trauma. So I had to really sit down and really really look within myself and open myself up and be vulnerable, because these are traumas that have to come up and I have to face
Yes.
them. And
Yes.
it was a trying time for me. It really was. And then he moved out, and then there's a couple that moved downstairs, and then they came in with their surround sound nailed up to the ceiling, which is my floor. And my whole apartment is
Oh my
vibrating,
goodness.
and you can hear the conversations. That's how loud they are. And I'm like, oh my goodness, because of what I went through with the gentleman that lived there before, and the energy that I was radiating and projecting, I went and
Mm-hmm.
attract something even worse, because these
Yes.
people were worse than he was.
Yes.
And
That's how it is. That's
that's
how it is.
exactly how it is. And I really had to go within myself and really do the work, be in alignment and take responsibility towards them, because I don't even know these people. I
Right.
just knew at the time I didn't like them because of the music they were playing and the way they were, and I didn't even know these people. So I had to really go within myself, take responsibility for my emotions and my thoughts, and go within myself and put aside that ego and really do that healing. And now they don't bother me.
Right. That's how
Sometimes,
it is. The minute you
yeah,
accept your reality, boom, it
it's
changes.
done. I ask my daughter sometimes, I told her the other day, I said, I'm really surprised, because I don't even hear the people upstairs. She's like, oh, I hear them. She's like, I don't need to know how you cannot hear them. And I'm like, I really don't hear them.
Wow. That
Out of sight, out of mind,
that's
Lynnessa. It's a
amazing.
magical thing, but
It is.
it's all about you.
Mhm.
Heal yourself. Go within. Something bothers you, don't go to the person and approach them.
Yes.
Go within yourself and ask yourself why it bothers you. What is it about that person that's triggering you, something about yourself within you? And once you accept that, your whole world on the outside will change.
Yes. And like I also want to say too, like, because there's this common thing, like where we get hard on ourselves, we get down on ourselves, like when we feel anger or we feel fear or we feel jealousy, like, the bad emotions, the shadow emotions that I'm trying to overcome. Yes, it's you're overcoming them, but you need them, so
Yes.
honor those emotions. Those emotions are just as beautiful as the positive emotions because they serve a different purpose. They help you transform, they help you grow. So there, though, those emotions are needed. And like I was saying before, like an emotion like fear is an indicator of something, like you being afraid of something, like because you were saying that you wanted to try like a new modality, but you were afraid. So
Yes.
like
Mm-hmm.
that's an indicator that, okay, this is something I really do need to try, because why am I having this fear,
Exactly.
because I'm afraid to expand, or I'm afraid to grow. Like if something comes up and you feel nothing about it and you're like, meh, then that means it's not for you, because it's not evoking any emotions in you. But if you're afraid, that means that's something that is really going to change you. So it's worth it to try it. So if you get afraid, like don't say, oh, I'm upset that I'm having this fear, I suck, just honor the fear and be like, oh, okay, I'm happy that I have this inner indicator, I have this reaction. So now I just have to move past this. And like you'll be amazed once you get to the other side. And this is something that me and you have been working on like every day. Like it never ends. It's a
It doesn't.
journey.
It's
Yeah.
it's a lot of layers. It's
Yeah.
I remember someone used an onion as an example of our healing journey because there's just so many layers,
Yes.
and the magical part is that you speaking of the fear and everything, and I was just thinking that the reason that I was fearing the modality, and this is something that just came to me now that my guides are communicating to me, and it's because they want me to share it, is because I was afraid that this modality was going to guide me into letting go of things and people that I needed to let go of, that I've been
Mm.
codependent and enabling.
Wow.
And really, what it boiled down to is that I was afraid of who I will become when I let it go. And this modality was going to help me let that go.
Wow.
And without really realizing it, what the fear is, but then when you really go within yourself and really is honest, because remember we were talking about being honest with yourself, right?
Mhm.
That was
Mhm.
something we wanted to mention. The universe knows where you're at. The universe knows what your next move is going to be. The universe wants you to know and be aware of what your next move is going to be, and wants you
Mm.
to be aware of where you're at, because the universe
Yes.
knows all, source knows all. So in looking within myself and asking myself, well, really, what is this fear? Why am I fearing this modality? Why am I fearing going into this? Well, because it's going to help you and guide you to let go of what it is you need to let go of. And whatever it is that you're codepending and enabling, you're going to have to let it go at some
Yes.
point. And
Because you won't be able to be the you who you want to be holding on to those things.
exactly. And
Yeah.
there comes the layers. Why is it that I'm afraid of, let's say, for an example, letting this person go? Maybe the fear of being alone. That's another
Mhm.
layer. Why am I being afraid of being alone? What is that fear all about? And then there comes another layer. And then with that
Yes.
one, there comes another layer. So, but you have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to be in alignment. And if you want to be in alignment and manifest, you got to make room for what it is you're manifesting in your life. You got to let go of the old. Whatever no longer works for you and is not in your best and highest good anymore, whether it's a person, place, or a thing, let it go. And if
Yeah.
you're afraid to, ask yourself why, and be
And
honest with yourself.
that's the key. That is the key, because all manifesting is being in the right vibration to attract whatever it is you're wanting to attract. And so
Exactly.
when you ask for something, it's like you send out a ripple in time and space, it's going to disrupt your life, and you're going to get opportunities to make adjustments, to be in alignment. And sometimes those things that you have to deal with are not comfortable. They're growing pains, because in order to transform, a lot has to happen. Like when you think about like precious stones or metals, there's so much that has to happen to them, like so much pressure or heat that has to be applied to them for them to transform into their final form, or the precious thing that we pay tons of money for, that we
Yes.
so it's the same with you. You are this precious being, when you were born, and you're uncovering all of the crap that you've accumulated through your life to get back to that precious being. And in order for that to happen, excuse my words, but shit is going to happen.
It
you
is.
know
It
you're going to
is.
have to like deal with some things that you don't want to deal with, or that you find uncomfortable, but the results are going to be great. And I'm still dealing with that. We never stop healing, we never stop dealing with it. So yeah, it's a
And
beautiful thing.
it is a beautiful thing. And and I thank you so much for bringing up about the thing with the fear, because it's our warning sign. It
Hmm.
really is a warning sign, and it's letting us know, and it also makes us aware of the blockages that we have within ourselves. The reason
Yes.
you're not doing this is because you fear it. Now your responsibility is to find out why you fear it,
Right.
you
And
know?
honestly, I feel like we're going to do a whole episode on fear.
Yes, that's the
So,
next. Well, next one is boundaries, because that's
yes.
also part of being in alignment, and that's part of self-love. And then will come the fear, because a lot of people fear putting up boundaries.
Yes.
They're afraid of what people might think of them, or they might not love them, because they're not, they're putting up boundaries. So there's a lot of things that come under the umbrella of alignment.
Yes, and there's a lot of things that me and Monique want to talk about. We have a lot of plans. We're going
Yes,
to
we
be
do.
inviting like special guests just to open that outlook up, because we want to give you different varying experiences that are genuinely going to help you. And when I think about it, before we started the podcast, like when I was searching for answers, or people going through similar things, I never really found situations that were just the same as me, or that I could resonate with at a certain level. So I'm like, okay, well then I'll just share my own experiences. So like we're going to try to put out 3 podcasts a month, one with both of us, and then one individual, talking about our different, where we're at, just to give you guys more content. And then, of course, we're going to be inviting other people to give you more jewels and more content. But I wanted to kind of close today, like Monique had some questions, because um, in order for us to be in alignment, like you said, we have to be honest with ourselves. So we wanted to leave you with some questions that you could possibly journal about or ask yourself, so that you're being honest with yourself, so that you could really start your your transformative healing. So go ahead and close with those questions.
Okay. And there's also something I'm being divinely guided to also mention here. Um, a little bit more about manifestation, because that seems to be something the collective is really it kind of piques their curiosity about,
Mm-hmm.
oh, what is that? So with manifesting, when you're manifesting, be aware of what it is that you're thinking at the time that you're trying to manifest. I'll use the example of a car. So what are you thinking? Are you thinking, I'm not deserving of the car? I'm not worthy of the car. I can't afford it. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford a car with the job I have. So when you start manifesting, really think, Really go within yourself and be aware of what your thoughts that are going on in your mind, because you could be manifesting and thinking things and you're not paying attention to the thoughts because you're so busy trying to manifest, but it's those thoughts and those feelings that you're projecting. So it's very important to pay attention to them. Okay.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Because that's how we create in 3D.
exactly,
It
yes.
starts with our thought, then our word, and then our deed. So you can't get what you want if your thought isn't right. You have
That's
to get,
right.
that's the first thing that you have to, you know, make right.
Exactly. And taking action. Once you know what that is, take action, take responsibility for what you're thinking and you're feeling, and work it out within yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
questions to ask yourself while you're doing this, or you can use this as a guide, is why am I afraid of who I will become when I let it go?
Yes.
Okay. What is my greatest challenge or fear at this time? And what is the root of it? And this can be a little painful emotionally for some of us, because there are things that we have to delve into that we really don't want to. But
Right.
that is part of the process. That is what's supposed to happen. What are my resources to help me resolve it? What lessons can I learn from it? That's very important, because every experience there's a lesson. And if you keep repeating the same pattern over and over again, or let's say a certain person keeps coming back into your life, is because that experience with that person, you haven't learned a lesson from it yet.
That is
So,
a big one. Oh my God. Yes.
yes. So, whether it's an ex or a family member or a friend that you thought you let go and they just keep coming back in, really look within yourself and ask yourself, what is that person teaching me? What am I
Right.
learning from this? What is this lesson? And you'll be amazed that once you learn that lesson, that person will
It's
never appear.
gone. Yes. It's gone. Oh my God. And when that happens, you will be so elated. And I'm talking from
Yes, so am
experience.
I. This is why I'm so like passionate, because I listen, these are questions that I've asked myself and I've journaled. That's another thing. It's very important to journal, write down, because when you go over it and you read, you might notice things there that you never really thought about or ever came
Right.
to your awareness.
And you
You
can
know?
see how far you've come
You've
because
come,
that's a big
exactly.
one.
Yes, definitely. And what needs to be done for this healing or clearing? Really think about what it is that I need to do to let this go. Whether it's talking to the person, making peace with yourself, putting up boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
a whole list of things can come up for you, and how you can clear and heal this up. And ask yourself, did I do all the healing needed at this point? Because obviously if it's bothering you, you haven't done the healing yet.
Yes.
And please, I'm letting the collective know this. Know what the difference is between indifference and really healing and letting it go. Because a difference, if you're indifference to something, you're not in alignment. You're just
Right.
repressing and suppressing whatever it is, kind of out of sight, out of mind, put it in the back of your mind. But guess what? It's still there. The
And
energy
it
of that is still there.
and it's not going to go anywhere. And if that is a person or a thing, that thing or person will show up in a different form in your
Yes.
life.
Yes.
Like you can be like, okay, I'm blocking this person, but then the next person who comes is even worse and they're still there to teach you the same lesson. So just accept it, learn the lesson, and grow and glow.
Yes, yes. And it's difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of the collective is saying, I keep hearing this over and over again. Every podcast was talking about the same thing. Well, maybe the universe is trying to tell you something. Maybe there's
Yes.
something that the universe is bringing to your awareness so you can pay attention to and work on it. Because the
Right.
universe gives us signs. It's up to us if we're willing to listen
Mm-hmm.
and notice them and do something about them afterwards.
That's right.
So, beautiful souls, I wish you all the best. And again, we'll be back with some new
Yes.
information. And we're going to talk, what is it, Lynnessa, next, about boundaries, correct?
Yeah, boundaries, which for me and
Oh,
you, because
yes.
no, because honestly, like when you work in the spiritual community or when you're a healer, whatever you want to call yourself, an empath, whatever label, that boundaries, yeah, you need those and they're very hard. So, yeah, we are definitely going to talk about that. And we do have like a few Facebook groups. We have the Transformative Healing Facebook group. We also have the Transformative Soul Signals Facebook group. So if you want to continue the conversation, or if you ever want to talk to us or ask us questions or get advice, we are here. Just reach out to us and join those groups, so that we can continue having these conversations.
Yes, and also the websites. We have websites as well. Lynnessa and myself, if you want to go into also, if you want to reach out to one of us or the both of us, that is perfectly fine as well. Um, there's services also that Lynnessa and I provide as well if you're interested. Lynnessa, you want to give your website, honey? Or is it, it's in the
Yes,
description as well,
yeah,
right?
I put them in the description.
Descriptions.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So you can go in there as well. And yes, if you have any questions, just like Lynnessa said, just please reach out. Don't be afraid. We're here. If there's anything, suggestions, comments, ideas of something you would like us to talk about on the podcast, on an
Mm-hmm.
episode, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to.
Absolutely. But thank you guys. Love you so much. I know that, sometimes you feel like you're alone, and sometimes you feel like you're not making progress, and you can be hard on yourselves, but trust and believe you are here for a purpose. And just the fact that you were born means so much. You are worthy of everything just from
Yes.
being born.
And we are
So,
very proud of you for everything that you have
yes.
done so far and are going to do.
Yes. Absolutely.
So
I love you,
definitely.
sis.
Oh, I love you more, Lynnessa. I love you so much. It's always a pleasure. And all the
Yes.
love to you all.
And as always, thank you for listening to today's episode. If you're interested in more, you can check out our blog at soulsignalspodcast.com. Goes a little deeper into my experiences. You can also follow us over on IG, Facebook, or TikTok at Soul Signals Podcast for more content or to continue on the conversation. Have a comment or a question you need help with? Well, you can send us a recording or message to info@soulsignalspodcast.com that we may even end up featuring on the show. Till next time, take care.